This is Marian Newsom,
And this is Gina Rosenthal.
and we are the Tech Aunties podcast. Today, we're really going to focus on Gina. You're back from VM Explore, the old VM world. We're going to hear your thoughts, kind of your recap on all things VMware. Broadcom VMware, or however it's said now. So we'll talk a little bit about the culture, the strategy, and then the impacts going forward and how do companies move forward. So how was it? I was reading the feed, saw a lot of really kind of comments about it being very different. One person even said strange more times than I've heard it said in a professional setting. So what were your thoughts?
That wasn't me. It was strange. It was just from even the beginning. Usually VMworld used to start so early. You get on the plane, everybody knows on the plane, especially coming from Austin. You got everybody, Dell, everybody from every company in town that you can imagine. I didn't know anybody on the plane. I went in Sunday night.
Really?
Not only that, the plane wasn't even full.
Wow.
I was like, oh, this is interesting. And so I get there, nobody around at all. Walk right up, get my badge. Don't see anybody. I walk around trying to figure out what's going on. Nothing's going on. So I was like, okay. So I was there. I was lucky enough to have a talk in the community area, and I was fortunate enough that they let me come and volunteer with them, and they traded me a pass for the hours that I worked doing that, helping record the videos, which was great because I got to see a lot of community talks and a lot of very kind of in-depth, very interesting conversations. Anywhere from the folks running the VMUG came in and a couple of times and had a couple of different talks to very in-depth security talks, and it was great. So that part I enjoyed, and they were pretty full. So the people would be talking, the little area right there would be full. All behind us was full, so it was good. But I got to see like one or two sessions. I didn't really get to do too much because I was helping them out, which I enjoyed. But the area, anytime you wanted to go back there and grab a seat, you could have. Anytime you wanted to go to a hands-on lab, you could have walked right up and gone in.
Really?
That it was just so interesting to me. There were no parties to speak of. There was a couple, literally a handful. I think the thing that got me the most was when I walked into the expo. This is so petty, but like there was no carpet on the floor. It was just concrete, and the little different all the different vendors had carpet, and it was like how when you go to these little here in Austin, how you go to the it's next to the Long Center downtown.
The Palmer Center.
The Palmer Event Center.
Yeah.
Like half of that, if that was half full, that's as many vendors as there were. And I saw the Dell booth, and it was tiny. It was a baby Dell booth. It wasn't like the normal big Dell booth. So I was like, what is going on? This is a little interesting. So
that was interesting because I think of the perspective, and just for the listeners, Gina and I used to be in product marketing, and we would rent food trucks, and it was a whole major production, and they had huge entertainment concerts, and the restaurants would all have takeovers and all type of things. They would have a party. I remember the party. Not saying that was my favorite piece, of course, but they would block streets, right? And so to hear that it has lost some of that grandeur and some of that excitement, that would explain a lot of the impact on the people.
I think that was the thing too. Like I never felt any buzz. I never felt any of the, like I didn't feel it at all. And I think this is a theme I keep coming back to. The product had some interesting, they had a bunch of releases. It wasn't anything super, exciting, brand new. And I think that's purposefully they're doing like a reorganization and trying to align all of the gazillion different lines that they had into 4 different product offerings. Or is it 2? It's very, very small compared to what it was. But it's kind of nice. It's kind of interesting. They say that they're going to have one interface that's going to work for all of their products that are under the VCF umbrella.
Okay.
So that's good because they were all developed by different teams and different ideas of where it should go. And they're kind of corralling that and bringing that all together. So that's good. But there was just not a lot of, hey, this is awesome. Like I didn't even go to the party. I went to see Bruno Mars.
Oh.
It was awesome. Like it just didn't, it was, and the few
In the
people I
old days,
saw,
he would have been there, right? He would have been the featured act. So I think that says a lot about it too.
yeah, yeah. So the people I saw were great. I saw a lot of people from old community, from our community. And it was just kind of it was a different vibe, completely different vibe.
So did they hype the acquisition? I mean, $69 billion later, you should be creating some excitement behind that future vision. What does that kind of look like, that future vision?
I don't think they really hyped that. Definitely did not come away with that. Um, what I did hear is, and I didn't really get into looking at this. I've written a couple of blog posts now, but I know that the partners were not pleased, not happy with the way things were going. And I think the CEO did a mea culpa at their big meeting. Um, I heard him say talk about the community a couple of times and saying that's our operators. And it's just, I do not think that Broadcom understood how special the VMware community was. I don't think they understood the marketing power and um, actually what that all included, like what it actually was. I think they had their own plans where they were going to take VMware as their acquisition, and that's what they have relentlessly driven forward. It was on that plan because I think the acquisition closed less than a year ago, right? I don't think it's been in its
Right. I think it was November of 2023.
so I think they've only had one quarterly where VMware was included in their reporting. This next one's coming up in a couple of days, which will be the second one. Um, and I think what's hard too, and this is kind of like the unspoken thing about it, is how many people weren't there because they no longer are VMware employees. In fact, they're probably kind of homeless still at the moment, trying to figure out what's next steps for them. But
Mhm.
people with extreme skill and lots and lots of institutional knowledge were just chopped for the reason I'm sticking to this plan that Broadcom has. And hey, it's their acquisition, it's their company, and this is the direction they want to go. So more power to them. But it's sad to think about, something we were all part of,
Uh-huh.
and got to experience to see that it's just getting tossed to the side. It's a little sad.
Yeah, sounds like it. It sounds like they were more focused on the assets of the company and not really retaining what really kind of differentiated it, which was the culture, was the excitement of their V experts. And their community was huge. And so that's sad to hear.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it sadder, right? Is that this literally is a business decision. It wasn't personal. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't this. They saw what they wanted to do and how they wanted to attack the market and how they wanted to get their money back from their investment in VMware and in the way that they were going to do it. And they have been executing on it.
Mm-hmm.
And part of that execution was um, one of the things that they have done with their other acquisitions, which CA and Semantic are two of
Right.
them, was to concentrate on top tier customers, number one, but also to drive down their investment in sales and marketing. So I put this in my blog post because I'm going to read it because I don't want to get it wrong.
All right.
That was why. So that's okay. So CA and Semantic spent about 29% of their total revenue on sales and marketing. But Broadcom usually spends 7%. So when you think about that, maybe that's why they didn't want to pay for carpet and have a big party.
Right. That would be, yeah, those little things that really make a difference kind of go away. And then I wonder how much of that marketing budget are they really going to rely on some of the AI marketing, right? So,
Well, maybe,
I
but that
mean,
probably
you're
won't
letting
last
people
very long.
go. Yeah,
They,
yeah,
they did for
yeah.
real. But VMware was spending about 34% of their uh, revenue on marketing and sales. So that's all, been where they have attacked, is like they have chopped up technical marketing, product marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the presence and what that present looks like at events. And that's because they are wanting to make VMware very, very lean and profitable, very, very profitable.
Right.
So they're on the hook to do 8.5, contribute 8.5 to Broadcom's EBITDA, which stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization, within 3 years of the deal closing. So that's 24, 25, 26, 26. So by 26, they want to have them there. So there was a quote from the Register where Hock Tan said, the CEO said, their quarterly costs are on track for the end of the year to be 1.3 billion. So they want them to reduce it down to 1.2 billion. So I was trying to do the math, but
either way, it's aggressive. It's aggressive in current climate. And so you talked a little bit about, let's talk about their strategy. So it makes clear sense to make it more lean, right? So that there are probably some areas of improvement there. But what about the focus on the customers and making that 8.5 billion?
This is where it's really crazy because it's very aggressive. And this is the thing I'm having a hard time wrapping my mind around. So they want the top 600 strategic accounts to account for 70% of their ARR, annual recurring revenue. Mm-hmm. So they've gone to subscription versus perpetual. And people, so maybe that's where a little bit of the price increases are coming from. The other thing is, since they've combined everything, you can buy 2 all-in-one packages. And the one, of course, that they're emphasizing is VCF, which means you get vSphere, NSF, the networking part, right? And vSAN and Tanzu. Like, you get a whole bunch of stuff. You get it all packaged together. And so I've seen a lot online. Well, that's the price increase. That's the price increase. But when you hear things, people, like the example I put in the blog post, and there's, just go to our VMware on Reddit. People are telling you what they're getting quoted. But going from an $8 million renewal to $100 million renewal,
just crazy,
like, is insane. Like, that's what percentages, I think percentages in my head now, right? Like, that's 12 times increase, a little bit more.
That's pharmaceutical numbers, right? So that's life-giving numbers there for a technology product. Think about that.
Well, that's the only way you're going to get to $8.5 billion.
Right.
But it's just, how is they were also kind of strategic about picking these great big companies that, especially if they're regulated, how do you get out of your hypervisor layer that quickly? And let's be honest, VMware is the virtualization product. It always has been. People have stuck with VMware and used VMware because it's VMware. It works. It's reliable. Right. It does vMotion. It's enterprise grade. It's easy to use with the management system that it had. Like, yeah, it's a pain in the butt sometimes to upgrade, but that's because it's a critical piece of infrastructure. We've moved on from regular bare metal 3-tier applications to having this ability to virtualize the hardware, get more bang for your buck out of the hardware that you buy, but also have all of this immense amount of flexibility with how you structure your infrastructure and how you protect it and how you're able to make sure that you have a way to bring it up no matter what happens. It is critical. I mean, even the clouds run on virtualization. Everything runs on virtualization. It's how we run software. It's how we build infrastructure in a modern time. So they look for companies that couldn't very easily change off of VMware. That's literally who they're looking to have, because then they got them. You can't move. And if you think about a bank, a hospital, a pharmaceutical company,
those regulated industries. Yeah.
Right. How do I, if I'm making my business case and my budget, all right, VMware's coming up for renewal this year. Broadcom's going to stick it to us. So maybe I'm going to think there's a 20% tax, right? Maybe even a 40% tax if I'm planning carefully. How do you plan for a 12, 15% increase. And you can't, and if you get to the table and they're like, no, this is what it's going to be, we're not giving in. You're going to pay us this much money. That's it. Um, what do you do if you've got a very healthy sized infrastructure, right? And you've got it in different regions of the world, and everything is tied around it. That's why VMworld was so big. Think of the ecosystem around it. You had databases, you had the backup software, you had the security, so like all of it fine-tuned and developed in concert with VMware engineering. So like, how do you change that like this?
Yeah, especially if you're a medium to small size business. So would you have any recommendations for those small and medium businesses as to you don't have the money, you're not growing at the rate that you can take a triple or that type of increase in just one product license. So what would be your strategy tips for these small and medium businesses?
I think the tip, unfortunately, I'm not sure there's a quick way to this, and there might still be, having to pay the ransom for now. But I would for sure start it the same way you would do any other big infrastructure migration, right? If you were thinking of going to the cloud, which by the way, Google Cloud and I'm sure Microsoft, but I know for sure I've heard about Google Cloud, are offering an enormous deal to help you get from on-prem to their clouds. So you've got the competitors starting to step up and say, and we have some competition, healthy competition in this realm before where it was locked down by VMware before, right? So now that's probably the only silver lining of this. But what you're going to do, what all of these places are going to do is they're going to have you look at your infrastructure and the applications that you're running and really do an inventory of that. What applications am I running? What requirements from a virtualization standpoint, do these applications have? And how can I move from one to another? Maybe you have some stuff that you can test or that's coming up greenfield that you could try on. You could do Nutanix. There's a lot of stuff you could do that's got the enterprise grade. There's some stuff that like you've got hypervisors that are included in Linux. So if you have Linux servers, they're included, but they're not going to have what you need from an enterprise standpoint. You can go talk to Red Hat about OpenShift. Where else was I going to go? Oh, you could talk to, you said Nutanix. You could do scale computing. Scale computing has the hardware, everything built in. If I was talking to one customer and they're a big Dell customer and they're not exactly sure what they're going to do, but they're relying on Dell, right? So even though Dell cut off their contract with VMware, which we'll see what happens with that. I'm sure there's probably a story there, which would be interesting to get that story.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of tea there to spill, I'm sure.
I'm sure there's some tea there. But like I would stay in contact and go ask your hardware vendor, hey man, I'm not sure I can do this. What do you suggest? And have them give you some suggestions because they're probably putting together a plan to help their customers who want to migrate. But every single one of those migrations is going to require you having a very good understanding of the applications that exist in your data center. What are those applications? What do they need from that virtualization? How are you backing them up? Where is the data? Is the data in a vSAN, on a vSAN array? Is that how you're doing it? Or do you have a storage array? Like, how are you actually doing that? Because that's going to also talk to how you can flip around and what you're going to do. But the very first thing, the thing you can do right now is probably do that inventory, very deep inventory of your applications. And if you're big enough that you have a CMDB someplace or something like that, you should have some tools where you can draw out that information. There's probably tools that I don't know what they are inside vSphere that can help you with that too. But you need to understand what you've got in your data center and what it needs and what it can have. And then the next step would be once you have those requirements, then you can talk to somebody about I need this so I can get off VMware. And then you're going to have to actually do the work of moving it, and it's going to be like changing. It's going to be like changing servers, right? Like going from Dell. Right. Well, go from HP to Dell because I don't want anybody yelling at me. So, but going to the cloud, it'll be an awful lot like going to the cloud as well. So you're going to have to actually make that move. What's that going to look like? What's that timeline look like? How can you phase that out so you're not, staying overnight weekends for the whole month of September, October, November, right? So
Right.
it's and that's why Broadcom knows they have them, because if you're a really, really big environment and you're
Uh-huh.
risk averse, you're going to pay them instead of trying to change. And that's how they're going to make that $8.5 billion a year.
Yes. But it sounds like you're already working with customers. So the starting point would definitely be Digital Sunshine and Solutions.
That
You
would
could definitely,
point people to the
yeah.
right way. Or even better, if you're I can see this as being, because I think the partners got, royally hosed, and they weren't really happy either. Um, would love to help you guys. I would love to help anybody message what your solution is to
Yes.
customers. How are you going to help customers with this conundrum? Do they stay with VMware or do they go someplace else? Would love to help you out with that messaging or writing or getting the word out, because I think this is where, the first blog post I wrote was really sad because I felt really sad.
Yeah.
I think we have to feel our feels to get through things, but this is, how do we come out of this? And our community, that is one of the shining spots of the V community. We've always taught everybody how to do everything. We've always
Hmm.
brought
Hmm.
everybody along. So, yeah, I'm happy. Would love Digital Sunshine. Would love to help anybody that needs help getting their services out in the world, like letting people know about it. We're here for you.
So we talked about the strategy with the price hike. Were there any innovations in the architecture, any strategy discussed about that going forward, especially how some of that mm, price hiking and cutting, right? The whole financial strategy may impact some real critical areas of the products like security, support, uh, partners, different things like that, integrations even.
From a product perspective, not really. I mean, nothing was really announced that wasn't already known. So like we know that the whole EUC side was spun out, and
Mhm.
now it's its own company, which is interesting. So the VDI is kind of its own separate thing for as far as Broadcom is concerned. They're more concerned about the server part. There were a lot of AI talks. Our talk was an AI talk as well. Um, but there was a lot of AI talks. What I was hoping to hear, and I think it's just too soon, is Broadcom's a chip maker. So, like, do they have a chip up their sleeve? Not a chip on their shoulder, but a chip up their sleeve. They have a chip that's gonna, that can be combined. That when it's combined with VMware, that's like the killer combination for an AI infrastructure. I don't know. To me, that's kind of what I was hoping we were going to hear, something like that, but haven't didn't
Hmm.
hear anything like that. Why, did you hear something? Maybe I just wasn't paying
I
attention.
didn't hear anything, but I'm thinking about the companies they acquired. So, like at Tech Field Day, we saw the DNA from Symantec. We saw some of the DNA from CA. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting, and that might explain some of that focusing on the 600 and doubling, tripling that license price. It would have to be something to make me say, "Yeah, I'm going to throw out everything I have, my whole IT budget, and go what we're doing VMware."
They don't have a choice though. They
Yeah.
don't have a choice. I mean, like one of the articles I linked to was since they got rid of the education and nonprofit licensings, a hospital, a kid's hospital,
Mm.
and they ended up paying for the renewal. Not sure where they got it from. They'll probably go fundraise and get it, I guess. But like, how do you do that?
Yeah, but
If
in
you're
the
gonna,
short term, that's long term. You can fundraise, but you didn't anticipate that renewal costs. You didn't make a reserve on the books for it, and so short term, something is going to be impacted.
yeah, and it's just like how does a company? I understand that you're very focused on your
Yeah.
business plan, but like, can't somebody be like, ah, dang, that's gonna look really bad if we do that. Maybe we'll hook these guys up because this is a good cause and we can write it off here. I mean, right? Like you can get the little card like you get when you go to Goodwill and donate. We'll put that on our taxes. It'll look good. Just doesn't look good when. And another one I read about was a school. So, some nonprofit that supports all of these schools in the UK. They just basically told both of them, VMware's not for everybody. So that's the tagline. VMware is not for everybody anymore. Before it absolutely was. So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's just they got a business plan and they're sticking to it.
Right. But even if that's your strategy, after 5 years, what customers are still standing out there? Yeah, me next, me, take me to the river next, So, what, I mean, at some point you have to start uh, really listening to your customer. And that's a huge opportunity for other companies out there.
Yes.
Because we've talked about I guess we can call them the Sterling 600. But if I don't have that silver spoon in my mouth as a small company. I'm not growing like that. I don't have that kind of money. So where do I take my little bronze level business? So it really does open up opportunity for their competitors.
I think
and for innovation, right?
That's the big thing, right? So, you'll have people, and I think that's already been happening. It's like, how do you make sure you've got the enterprise features that VMware has? How do you make sure you prove that your offering is going to be as solid as VMware is? Because I think I think companies are also kind of petty. You might get them this one time, they're already gone. So like,
Right.
if
Right.
that's the case, how do you ever get to that 8.5 billion if you piss that many people off? How do you ever? And because it's one thing if it's like, we only want to deal with the best of the best because that's who we're going to build this for, and that's why it's a premium. And so if you can't afford it anymore, we're really sorry. That sucks to be y'all. That I can get. I don't understand the nonprofit and the education stuff. That blows my mind. But like, from a business point of view, oh crap, you raised it that much. I can't afford the good stuff anymore. Let me go get the non-brand mac and cheese. Let's go. I get that.
Right.
That's
Right.
okay. But you don't have to be jerks about it. VMware is not for everybody. Like, since when? Since today? Dang. Damn. So, but that is the thing. Like VMware, when I was there, we knew we owned 95% of the workloads. We did. So enterprise workloads. So to break that open, this is, and it's very disruptive. It's a very disruptive upgrade, or it's not even an upgrade. It's a migration. You're looking at migrations across the industry, and it's a big thing. It's a big thing to, I think the biggest advice I have in my head is like, don't sit on it and be so overwhelmed by it. Like, this was a business decision. It sucks because it's not good for your business, maybe, but it is what it is. What do you know about your infrastructure? Are you doing that data center hygiene that you're supposed to be doing? Do you know what your tier 1 applications are? Most people don't even know that, right? So like get your house in order. This is going to happen to you if you've got VMware. Get your house in order. At the same time, start talking to your hardware vendors, start poking around, seeing what might be your next way to go, because it probably is not going to be VMware if you can't afford it. And that's okay. Just let it go. If you have to be petty, that's fine too. But be prepared, because petty also always is better when you like, I know what to do.
Yeah, the answer to petty is revenge. Not again.
That's right. So like, if you want to get that, you got to be prepared, and you can't not know what's in your own house. Know your house, like know what you need, and let's move on, because we got to see what's next. I don't think this shift, it's not a technology shift. This is a business shift. This is caused by a business decision. So it's just unfortunate that it's happening at the same time that there are so many technology shifts. But if you ever had a time to combine them, you're getting kicked off the platform you were on, in effect, right? So take advantage of it, and whatever upgrading and digital transformation you need to do, plan it all for the same time, so you come out of this with a really tight, a new way of running your own business.
Yeah. So I think the message really is prepare for the pettiness and then move past it. I like in your first blog post where you really talk about the 5 stages of grief. And I think that is what a lot of their customer base will go through. So prepare for the pettiness and then move past it.
You got to do it because there's nothing you can do to change it. I mean, like if you're at children's hospital and you can't get them to change their mind on the pricing, like they're not changing their mind on the pricing. It is what it is. So keep on trucking. It'll be okay. I do think, the other part of this is we'll see everybody come back together. Every time you see somebody that you haven't seen in 5 years, you figure out where they are and you get to hear what they're working on. That's always so nice. So something else will come of this, but right now people got to get their data centers stabilized, have a good plan financially and then technically for what they're going to do.
Yes. Yes. Any final thoughts you'd like to share?
I think we covered everything. I think you need to give a final thought because you're the one that's going to be adventuring out here pretty soon.
Oh, yeah. So I was going to bring that up. We'll actually be attending the VMUG here in Dallas, where we'll get to see the president of Pettiness himself. So if you're in the Dallas area and you'd like to meet us and give us your thoughts, we'll be recorded. Please find us. Hopefully we'll have somewhere a location to be at where you can come up, give us your thoughts on the future of VMware, the new strategy, and maybe it's being renamed Broadcom. Is there an AI chip in its future? I'll actually be next at Security Field Day out in Silicon Valley, October 16th through the 18th. Gina, what about you?
Coming to Dallas, and we definitely will let people know where we are. We want to hear what you're planning to do. I'll be watching Marion on a Security Field Day, but Libra season's almost here, and I'm Libra. That's all I can think about. Libra season's almost here, so I'm sticking around Austin and my doggies, and happily will be chilling out in my house.
I'm the Aries, so I got time to wait.
Not your time yet. Libra time.
Not our time yet.
Not yet.
We're so aggressive. It's always our time. So
well, that's true. That's why you have Libra friends, though, that chill you out.
But in the meantime, you can catch Gina and her upcoming blog articles on VM Explore. I'm sorry, VM Explore. On her LinkedIn, Gina will post the links. You can also catch us on LinkedIn as the Tech Aunties podcast. Be sure to check out our other podcast episodes and let us know your thoughts. If you'd like to be a guest, please reach out to us. We'd love to hear your opinion. And I'm Marian Newsom. You can catch me on LinkedIn. I'm actually the founder of Ethical Tech Matters. And as we start doing more episodes like this, it's just ethics in general, because this is one that has a lot of little sticking it to the man or the customer aspects that feel unethical. So catch me there and at Ethical Tech Matters.
And you can catch me, Digital Sunshine Solutions, on LinkedIn and digitalsunshinesolutions.com. We also, Tech Aunties is on Instagram, so you can catch some of our cool little videos there.
All right. We'll see you guys at our version of a mini takeover at the VMUG in Dallas. All right.
Bye, y'all.